Leslie, thanks again for taking the time to talk with us today. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about Macrina Bakery, but first, I was curious about your start in the business and the culinary arts. How did it all begin?
Well, I guess I would give credit to my mother. My mother was a foodie before, that term was ever fashionable.
Yeah.
She loved to cook. She loved to cook, but what she really liked to do was go out and eat. And she had, all these different locations that we were always going to, particularly if we went to San Francisco. She had breakfast, lunch, and dinner mapped out. And so I think that really fueled my, interest in the culinary arts and learning about cooking. I ended up going to hotel restaurant management school and then chef school in San Francisco, and worked for about 12 years before I ended up starting Macrina Bakery.
Okay.
So I felt it was really important. I'm a person that likes to be prepared, and so I really felt like I wanted to really build a resume for myself so that, when it came to opening business, it would be successful, and it that I had the tools to kind of maneuver through the challenges.
So you have your grounding in other areas of the,
Yep.
of the country, and then you drop your stake in Belltown first on First Avenue between Wall and Battery.
Yep.
And it's a great location. In fact, every time I walk by, I can't help myself, but I have to come in for one of those Morning Glory muffins. They're delicious. But how did you get that name? That's an interesting name, Macrina.
Macrina Bakery. Well, it's named after a saint, Macrina the Younger. And I chose the name because, truly I chose the name because I didn't want to be stereotyped in a certain ethnic type of food. I wanted it to be spiritual because I feel bread is spiritual, and then also I wanted it to be, I like the focus of a woman, and so it was interesting because over time, I was drawn to her name, and then over time I learned more and more and more about her, and she really has quite an interesting story.
As a purveyor of baked goods, and you are obviously providing people with some sustenance, but you're also allowing us to break bread daily, and there's a sense of community when you do that. There must be some pride in that.
There's enormous pride in there, and we just rolled out our updated mission statement, and that is to enrich our communities with the joy of artisan baking. And we consider our customers, wholesale and retail, a big part of our community. And we do a tremendous amount in donations. And when I first started, my idea was to not put money into any advertising budget, but to allot any amount of money that we might be using for advertising to give as donations in kind. And so from the get-go, we started giving to school auctions, AIDS alliances, a variety of different, Seattle Tilth, a variety of different organizations. And that was our way of spreading, one, it was our way of spreading our name, but also it was our way of supporting our community. And we're grateful for the really diverse community we have at our cafes, and it's an awesome part of our business.
It sounds like you want to be, you're obviously very immersed in the community.
Yep.
Every day with the business, and then you're giving back to community, and even I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, you provide what's not sold at the end of the day. Yep. To individuals or to organizations, correct?
Yeah, to organizations. So we have people that come to our Kent baking location that pick up for food banks. We also give to quite a few sack lunch programs, one in the Kent area, and there's a variety of, we do a lot of, people are always contacting us through the website for donations to, whatever it might be, and we're doing our best.
So tell me about the bread. I guess that's where it all begins with Macrina, is the different varieties that you offer, and the ingredients are so delicious. Tell me a little bit about the breads.
Thank you. Well, I'll say that, you know, originally the recipes were inspired by travels or, you know, going to the source. So I had the fortune of traveling in Italy and working with, or not working, but visiting this gentleman, Giuseppe Arnasi's, and had the best bread I'd ever tasted, brought those, you know, his procedure back. Obviously we don't have the flours, and, you know, I like to adapt things to the way that we operate here based on our environment. And so anyways, inspired by our Giuseppe, which is probably one of our biggest selling breads. But in the last, like, gosh, I want to say 6 years, we have had the great fortune of working with Fairhaven Mills and working with Cairn Springs. So these, both these mills are getting wheat that's grown on PCC land trusts that are
the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly. So, and this was before we really had a partnership with, or a, you know, a connection, a strong alliance with PCC before we actually had our product in their stores. And I mean, truly, I was drawn to the ingredient because it tasted so delicious, and how it, you know, how it translated in the, you know, through the fermentation, et cetera, of the bread. It just brought so much flavor to the bread. It was just so delicious. And so in the last, I would say the last, you know, 3 or 4 years, we have been incorporating these flours more and more into our breads. And for our 25th anniversary, hard to believe it's been 25 years. Well, it's actually been 26 now.
Okay.
I developed a new bread called the Skagit Sour, and it's really delicious. And
yes, it is.
Yeah, and
I'll vouch for that.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you. And then I also developed a bread with kind of co-branding it with PCC. It's an organic baguette, and it's made with Artisan and espresso flour, which are flours that are grown on the PCC land trust, and then they're milled at Cairn Springs. So the flour brings so much flavor to the product, you know, with having the wheat germ and et cetera, and the brand's so good. Anyways,
and then
so it's been super fun.
And then you add these extra crunchy ingredients on the top. It just makes everything so much special. Yeah,
so that's the Skagit Sour, and so we roll, after we've formed the loaf, we roll it in spelt flakes. And then it gets, and the interior, so that particular loaf is made with a porridge. So you make like oatmeal, but we make it with spelt flakes, and so that gets incorporated into the actual dough, and so it keeps that loaf really moist, and so it's really, it's my favorite. I really can't.
You shouldn't say
favorites.
that.
I can't call favorites, but I have to be equal to all my
breads.
Kids
Yes,
and breads.
That's right.